Okay, I'd like to start out today with a startup to practice reading from graphs and getting our information from graphs. So try these two problems, 1 through 7 using the first graph and 8 through 13 using the second graph, and then compare your answers on the next slide. Okay, these are the answers that you should have gotten, so check your work with these. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me and I'll be glad to explain any of it. Today's lecture is from section 2.4 on average rate of change of a function. Okay, when we talk about average rate of change, you can kind of think of that as like your average speed, so to speak. In this graph here, it's talking about if you drive a distance of 120 miles in 2 hours, then your average speed or rate of travel would be the total distance traveled divided by the time it took you to travel that. So sometimes we talk about that as velocity is distance divided by time. With this, what we've got to realize is that within that interval, we might be traveling faster than 60 miles per hour at a given time, or we might be traveling slower, but on average, we're traveling 60 miles per hour. So average rate of change is like your average speed over a given time. Okay, so if we look at this graph here, it's showing your travels over a 4-hour period. So on the first hour, we go 50 miles because at time t equals 1 or at 1 hour, we've gone 50 miles. So if we wanted to know our average rate of change over that interval, what we would do is we would look at the distance traveled divided by the time. And so we're going to get 50 as far as our miles per hour with that. If you look at after 2 hours, we're at 75. So we would have 75 minus 0, which is where we started, and then that was over 2 hours. So we would be at 37.8 miles per hour. So you can see the average actually dropped over that time frame. If we looked at over 3 hours, at 3 hours, we're up to about 140 and so forth. So you can see that over the course of this 4-hour period, there's times that we're going faster and times that we're going slower with different averages all the way through that. So what we're going to look at mainly today with average rate of change is not specifically how fast we're going at any one time, but what the average is over a given time. So your average, like we said, average speed or velocity is your distance traveled divided by the time that has elapsed. Or another way to write that is your speed at time 2 minus the speed at time 1 divided by time 2 minus time 1. Okay. And we've already talked about the average speed is different over different time intervals. Okay, so a couple of things I want to mention here with average rate of change. First of all, your average rate of change is going to be the same thing as the slope of your secant line. Okay, so with a secant line, what a secant line means is if we have 2 points here, the secant line is the line that connects those 2 points. It doesn't have to follow along the curve, it connects the 2 points. So if I happen to have a tangent line, which is something you'll talk about a lot in calculus, a tangent line is going to, and it's kind of hard to draw here, but it's going to just touch the graph. It's going to touch at a given point and have the same slope at that one particular point. So a tangent line is more of an instantaneous representation, whereas a secant line is an average over that interval. So anytime you hear average rate of change, I want you to automatically think slope, because if you'll just make that connection between average rate of change and slope, this whole section is going to be much easier for you. Because with average rate of change, we've got, for our formula, the change in the y's divided by the change in the x's. So basically what we're saying there is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And if you recall, that's the formula for slope. Another way of writing that would be f of b minus f of a over b minus a, or that's the same thing as net change over b minus a. So your net change is actually the numerator in the average rate of change formula. Okay, so here's a problem. We've got the equation here, and we're wanting to find the net change and the average rate of change. So for the first one here, our interval is from 1 to 3. So for net change, I'm going to have f of b, so f of b minus f of a. Okay, so looking at my graph here or plugging it in, either one, if I put 3 into this, I'm going to get 0. And you can see here at 3, it is 0. And if I put 1 into my equation, I'm going to have 1 minus 3 would be negative 2 squared would be 4. So at 1, this is going to be the value 1, 4. So my net change is negative 4. If I'm looking here at this interval from 1 to 3, I can see that this has gone down by 4 units over that interval. Okay, so my average change or average rate of change, that's going to be the f of b minus f of a over b minus a. So we just said that we're looking at the same interval, f of 3 minus f of 1 over 3 minus 1. So we already calculated this part and found it to be negative 4. So our average rate of change is going to be negative 2 for that. And that's also the slope of this line. So if this coordinate here, we know it to be 3, the coordinates here is 3, 0. So if we're finding the slope of the line that connects these 2 points, then we know the slope is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So there's the same slope. So it's just a different version of the slope that we're using here for average rate of change. Okay, I'd like for you to try the interval from 4 to 7, and then we'll check your work. Okay, for part B, to find the net change, you should have done f of b minus f of a, where this is your a and this is your b. So f of 7, you could either plug that in and find out it's 16, or you could read it from the graph and see that it's 16. So 16 minus 1 is going to give me 15 for my net change. So over the interval from 4 to 7, I have a net change of 16 units. As far as the average rate of change, I'm going to do that net change and divide it by the b minus a. So 15 divided by 3 is going to give me 5. So for every unit, I'm going to it's going to have changed by 5 as far as the increase in the actual value of the function. Okay, here's one. If an object is dropped from a high cliff or a tall building, then the distance it has fallen after t seconds is given by this distance function here. We want to find the average speed, which is the same thing as average rate of change, over the following interval. So our interval here is from 1 to 5. So this is our A and our B. We're going to find the distance at 5 and subtract the distance after 1 second and do 5 minus 1. So this is my f of b. It just so happens that my f function is distance. So the f of b minus f of a over b minus a. Okay, so I'm going to have 16 times 5 squared minus 16 times 1 squared over 4. And when I do that calculation, I get 400 minus 16 divided by 4. So I'm going to get 96, and that's going to be in feet per second. Okay, on this one, we've got the same equation here, except our interval is a little bit more generic. It's going to be, this is going to serve as the A, and this is going to be our B. So we're still going to do D of B minus D of A and divide that by B minus A. It's just, in this case, our B is going to be A plus H. So I'm going to have D of A plus H minus D of A divided by A plus H minus A. And you may already see that our A's are going to cancel here and just leave us with an H in the denominator. So I'm going to evaluate the distance formula at A plus H. So that gives me 16 times A plus H squared. And then I'm going to come over here and evaluate the distance formula at just A. So it'll be minus 16A squared. And then we already said the denominator simplifies to be H. Here I'm going to multiply this out. Be sure that you FOIL this or use the box on it before distributing the 16 into it. You cannot distribute the 16 in before you do the power. So we're going to have 16 times A plus H minus 16A squared. Okay, this would be 16 times A squared plus 2AH plus H squared. Distribute the 16 through over here, so we'll have 16A squared plus 32AH plus 16H squared minus 16A squared. Carry that H forward. The A squareds are going to cancel, so we'll have 32AH plus 16H squared divided by H. Factor out an H as a GCF. Our H's will cancel, and our final answer here is 32A plus 16H. Okay, sometimes you're actually asked to find a average rate of change or an average rate of change using a table. And so that's what I would like to look at on this example. If we look at the interval here from 8 to 9, this will be my A and my B. So I'm looking at this interval here. So for part A, I'm going to do my function, which is temperature. So I'm going to say T of 9 o'clock minus T of 8 o'clock divided by 9 minus 8. I will caution you that because time is a little different to work with, that sometimes it's easier just to go ahead and see how much time has elapsed between 8 and 9 and put that in. Okay, so T of 9 is telling me it's the temperature at 9 o'clock is 40 and the temperature at 8 o'clock is 38. So what we're going to have there is 2, and these units were degrees, and this was in hours, so 2 degrees per hour. So basically it's a positive, so it's increasing at 2 degrees per hour. On B, we're looking at from 1 to 3, so the temperature at 3 minus the temperature at 1. So the temperature at 3 o'clock is going to be 67. Temperature at 1 o'clock is 62, and that's over a 2-hour time period. So 5 halves degrees per hour, or 2.5 if you prefer. And then on C, we've got T of 7 minus T of 4 over 7 minus 4. So on that one, we're looking at this interval here from 4 to 7. So T of 7 is 51. T of 4 is 64 over 3. So we end up with negative 4.3 degrees, and that's Fahrenheit per hour. So I could have put the Fahrenheit on each of these. So you can see that the temperature is increasing in the earlier hours, and then it's going to be decreasing. So it's got a negative slope. Remember, average rate of change is slope. So the slope, or the average rate of change for this part of the day, is negative because it's going down instead of going up. Okay, last thing today I want to talk about is linear functions and how they have a constant rate of change. If we have this form of a line, which is y equals mx plus b, one thing about a line is that the slope is constant over the entire domain of that function. So that means if it has a constant function, it means its average rate of change is constant over that interval as well. So to show you that, I want us to look at this equation here. I want us to find the average rate of change between 0 and 1, between 3 and 7, and then between a and a plus h. So for the first part, I'm going to find f of 1 minus f of 0 divided by 1 minus 0. So f of 1, if I plug 1 in here, I'm going to have 3 minus 5 would be negative 2. If I plug 0 in, I'm going to have negative 5. So this is going to be 3 over 1, or 3. If I do b, that's f of 7 minus f of 3 divided by 7 minus 3. So f of 7 would be 21 minus 5 would be 16, minus f of 3 would be 4. So this is going to be 12 over 4, which is 3. So both of those were the same regardless of the interval. But let's take it to a little bit more generic approach with the a and the a plus h. So if I look at this, I'm going to have f of a plus h minus f of a. I'm going to divide that by a plus h minus a, because this would just be putting this in for the b. So f of a plus h, I'm going to go up here and put in a plus h. And then I'm going to subtract from that this putting a in. And I'll divide that by, you can see that this already reduces to be just 8. Okay, so I'm going to clean this up. I'll have 3a plus 3h minus 5 minus 3a plus 5 all over h. Okay, so my 3a's cancel, my 5's cancel. I've got 3h over h, and that's going to be equal to 3. So basically what part C is kind of like a proof showing that regardless of what interval I choose over a linear function, that average rate of change is going to stay the same regardless of the interval that I'm choosing. Okay, that takes us to the end of this section. It was a fairly short section today. Hopefully you'll enjoy that it's short and get caught up on some things that you need to do. Let me know if you need any help, and I will see you next class.